Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Morbius, and this is the newest addition in the Sony Spider-Man universe, where you have Venom, Venom 2, and now Morbius, which is the living vampire, who I recall seeing in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, loving his arc that he had with Peter becoming like the human spider. You had Morbius, you had Blade, and this you have Dr. Michael Morbius, who for a long time has had this disease that is going to kill him eventually, and he's trying to cure it by splicing vampire bat DNA with human DNA and craziness, science fiction things. There you go. And right from the start, you have Daniel Espinosa, who directs this, who I'm a big fan of the movie Life. I really like that film a lot, and I appreciated the direction and the personality brought. All that's gone from this movie, and this movie is so dumb. And here's some things. Why is his best friend, as a kid, as an adult, somehow filthy rich, still going by the name Milo, which is not his real name? It's just what Michael called him because that's all he called all the kids that sat next to him was Milo. Why? Don't even get me started on the after credit scenes, which make absolutely no sense. This movie has horrible editing, and it feels all jumbled and messy in how it's trying to convey anything. All the vampire logic. So, okay, you could become a vampire through this serum, but then somebody becomes potentially a vampire, not through that means, but they may give no explanation for it. You have a situation where it's like, it actively makes fun of certain vampire mythology, but then it doesn't do anything interesting or unique or different with it, and so it's just using these half-ass, like, oh, they need blood, that's it. But then there's no logic or rhyme or reason to any of their powers, which then becomes ridiculous in the third act of this movie, which feels extremely anticlimactic, and basically just feels like two characters throwing each other around through buildings and stuff like that. Sound familiar? And it feels such a big letdown, and there's just no rhyme or reason to, like, you have characters like Jared Harris's character that just, like, sets himself up for just getting brutally just messed up. And you going through all this film and just being like, there's no rhyme or reason or logic to any of this. You have Jared Leto doing his horrible American accent when he is an American and can just talk. And it's so, like, wispy and just like, why are you talking like this? And he just, it doesn't click with me at all. His performance in this film, it just feels so weird. And this has this horrible Twilight level love triangle going on that's just so annoying and uninspired and lazy, like lazier than Thor and Jane Foster lazy. And there's moments where it's just like you have Matt Smith's character Milo and Jared Leto's Morbius just creepishly staring at like each other and stuff like that, creeping on each other, and just like this romance has no depth. There's no real characterization to these people. You don't feel for them. You don't connect with them. And you have these useless cops. Tyrese Gibson does like nothing. Just like these cops could have been completely cut from the film, streamlined it, didn't need to have them involved. And I don't even get why they're there, honestly. There's just tons of tired tropes. This feels like a comic book movie from 2004 that's like, oh, let's try these for the first time. Nope, we've seen these things a million times. And it's just messy filmmaking. It's awkward editing. It's choppy editing. It's like a couple of inspired shots of action, and then bam, it's completely unintelligible. You can't see anything going on now, and you're just like, what the hell's going on? The effects are horrendous and make it really hard to keep track of things during the action. It's just anticlimactic. These characters get knocked off or bumped off or out of the story in the most unsatisfying ways, and then this final battle just feels so weak and sloppy and lazy. And Matt Smith seems to be the only one having a good time here. He just chews the scenery at every single moment that he can, and I appreciated that about him. The credit sequences and the music are pretty cool, but the bait and switch. This promised allusions to Spider-Man. It promised Vulture in the movie. And all those things are cut, and Vulture only pops up in these horrible after the credit scenes. I have to tell you this, because it's like, you have to know, like, don't go in here expecting to see Michael Keaton's Vulture in this movie, because he's not. He's only in the after the credit scenes. Those trailers lied to you. And just overall, this is a hot mess, stupid movie, and just not worth your time. But those are my thoughts on Morbius. Let me know what you think, and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.